No one is coming to save you. No one's saving you here. It's not for me to sound cruel. And it's not that people don't care. It's not that you don't have a support system, but it's freeing, if anything. You can look at that phrase and either think, oh, no one's coming to save me, or what am I going to do, or I'm stuck, I can't do anything about it, or no one's saving me, or no one's helping me, I can't help myself, and I can't do anything, and blah, blah, blah. You can look at that phrase and think that, or you can look at that phrase and think, all right, it's time for me to take responsibility for my life. I can't help with the cards that I've been dealt. That's not in my control. But what I can control is what I do with it and how I go about it and how I move forward. Hey guys, welcome to Mental Banter. My name's Emerson, and today we're going to be talking about how you are entirely up to you. We are entirely up to ourselves and taking responsibility for our own lives and looking at that as a positive thing and not a negative thing. I want to take a quick second to acknowledge that trauma sucks. We don't deserve it. And it can be a tough topic to talk about. It can bring up a lot of emotion, and it's hard for us to even face within ourselves, to let alone to think about, to let alone speak out loud about it. I just want to disclose that before talking about what I'm about to talk about, because I want to acknowledge that it is such a tough thing, and that if you are going through a tough time, that I do encourage you to talk about it and reach out to the people around you, to friends, or to seek professional help or whatever you feel is necessary, because it can be really tough. Okay, so I feel like for the majority, we've all kind of been in situations where somebody has done something really shitty to us, or just done us wrong, or we've been upset, or we've been hurt. When you guys have potentially hashed it out, talked about it, it's come up again with this person about how they've upset you and stuff. They've tried to justify their behaviour by talking about all the pain that they've been through and how it's caused them to bleed onto you and to be an asshole to you. And then as a person on the other side of it, you're now responding being like, fuck, how do I respond to that? Should I forgive them? Should I just move on from it? Should I just dismiss my feelings? It's a tough position to be put in, because now someone's telling you about how they've been through stuff and how that's making them treat you a certain way. So now you're put in a weird position where it's like, okay, well, I feel a certain way, but God, they've been through so much, so maybe I should forgive them. No. I mean, I think forgiveness is important in a lot of situations, but don't let someone try and justify their behavior. Don't let someone tell you that the way they're treating you is okay because they've been through stuff. Okay? That trauma didn't cause them to do anything. That didn't happen. That trauma has caused them to feel a certain way, and that is so valid. But how they act is their responsibility. The thing with trauma, it doesn't excuse your behavior. It's no excuse. It explains it 100%. I can correlate so many times that I've acted out or done a certain thing because of something that's happened in my past, or some rewiring that's happened from when I was younger has shown up now in my late teens and stuff. I can see why I act a certain way, but I don't excuse my behavior. And it is a tough pill to swallow, because it's not nice to hear. You can either choose to be a victim and to live in that mentality, or you can choose to be a survivor. And it really just sucks sometimes. It can be so unfair. Sometimes the cards we're dealt fucking suck, and they impact us in ways that we can't even comprehend sometimes. We learn how to protect ourselves from a young age that we later on realize are hurting us in the long run. And it is now our responsibility to unlearn those things. And it fucking sucks. Because it's like, what did I do to deserve this? Like, what did we all do? Why am I having to now deal with this stuff that I didn't deserve, that I didn't ask for? Why is that now my responsibility? And it's hard to like look at it and be grateful for it. You know what I don't like? I understand the intention behind it, and it's to try and help us like with our trauma and move on from it and everything. But I don't like when we try and, I guess, romanticize it or be grateful for it. Because you know what? I'm not grateful for my trauma. My trauma fucking sucked. And I can guarantee you for a lot of other people, it's the same thing. I can't sit here and be like, I'm glad that I encountered that. Because I'm not glad. I could have so lived without that. You know? Like, that fucking sucked. And I didn't deserve that, and we didn't deserve that. As a collective, our childhood trauma, etc., 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 we don't deserve that. And now and now it's on me. And now this is just something that I have to live with and keep pushing through with. In saying that, I'm not grateful for my trauma, but I'm grateful for the person that I've become despite it. And I think that's where you can look at it in a nicer way. I think we're taught to try and, look at things positively. But I think this is just one of those things that sometimes you just have to acknowledge that, oh, okay, that sucks. That sucks. I didn't deserve that. That wasn't fair. But then later on, being able to be grateful for the person that we've become despite it. Because to be honest, I could have lived without the trauma that I faced, but I wouldn't be the person that I am today. That's not giving credit to my trauma for that. Because the thing is, when people experience traumatic things, you're given kind of two options. You can either just go down that pathway of being a victim and sabotaging your life and not healing and not trying to improve or not trying to heal yourself and work on it. You can go down that path. That's the thing. No one's coming to save you. That's the thing. Like, you can very much go down that path. And it's hard not to when we're in a lot of pain and everything. Or you can go the other way and you can choose to be a survivor and to be a better person because of it. So no, I don't give credit to my trauma for the way that I am. I don't credit it because I could have gone down a different way. I give credit to myself because I chose to be a certain way despite it. And I recognize that in a lot of people. And I think we should be so proud of ourselves because it is so easy to just give up and just be like, oh, well, I face this. I can't change. I can't do anything. But it's like, oh, well, I can't do anything about it. You can. Like, you so can. Like, I don't think we understand how capable we are. We're so capable. That phrase of like, no one is coming to save you is harsh. But it's also so freeing because it shows us that how capable we are of pulling ourselves out of a dark spot and moving on with our lives and acknowledging that, okay, this sucked. It wasn't my responsibility, but now it's my responsibility on how I treat other people. And I think we underestimate the impact that we have on the people around us. The way that we treat other people is a ripple effect. Positivity and both negativity are both just as contagious as each other. Like, I want to talk a bit about generational trauma as well. Because I think, I can't speak for a lot of people, but I think for the most part, some people's trauma, we experience it in our younger ages, in the family home. Whether it was with a parent or with just a certain family dynamic, friendships. There's a lot of things that contribute to our wiring as we grow older, right? And the way that we view and act, etc., right? But for the most part, generational trauma is a massive thing. And the way that our parents or the people around us when we're younger rub off on us when we're younger can really impact the way that we adult. That's what we're shown is to be an adult. So we think as we grow older that that's how we need to be an adult. Not how we need to be, but like, we're taught how to be a person and a human from our parents. And of course, like, we learn our own lessons along the way as we get older. But, at the end of the day, our parents are our first initial role models. The people that we're surrounded by are our first initial role models, whether it's our parents or friendships, family dynamics, whatever, when we're younger. That's how we're shown what what adulthood and being a grown-up is like. There's this like popular story, I guess, that you can look it up on the internet. I forget what it's called. It's a pretty popular story and I find it really interesting. It's about this alcoholic father who has two sons. One son has gone down the exact same route as his father and has become an alcoholic. The other son has never touched a drop of alcohol in his life. The one son who became an alcoholic, he said, "What choice do I have? My father is an alcoholic." The other son, who never touched a drop of alcohol, said, "How could I? Look what it had done to my father." Neither son is weak. It's just one son took responsibility for his life and decided that that doesn't have to be his story as well. He might have not learnt how to be as an adult, but he learnt how to not be. And sometimes that's the cards we're dealt with. You know, like when we're younger, the people that we're around when we might go through these certain experiences, you know, you can look at them for an example. But it's just sometimes that example is an example of how to not be. Or we can see how something's affected them and we can learn how to not be like that. And sometimes that's the cards that we're dealt with. Also, like, about like childhood trauma and everything. For our parents and for their parents and for their parents and for their parents, there wasn't much education on childhood trauma or healing, you know? But now in this day and age, there is so much education on it. Like, so much education on it. You can look it up. It is so much more talked about it than it was. So it's a perfect opportunity for us to unlearn those bad habits that we have picked up from feeling that we need to protect ourselves. You know, make it our responsibility to be a better person despite what we've endured and to have that positive ripple effect, you know, and break the cycle. Break that generational trauma or break the cycle of hurt person hurting somebody and then they become a hurt person and they hurt somebody and so on, so on, so on. Break the cycle. Be that hurt person that chose to be a better person despite it. You have so much power and you are so capable of it because you don't want to be that person that excuses their behaviour based on something that they went through. Of course it's hard and of course it sucks, but we've all been through shit. We've all been through stuff and you know, we're not all assholes. So it's not an excuse. It is now your responsibility. And that is actually such a freeing thing. It is not to invalidate the feelings that we feel around our trauma and the pain that we've been through. Of course not. There is so much space for that. But it is our responsibility to heal from that and to work through that and to feel those feelings, but to not bleed on the people around us. And that's why I am the biggest ambassador for going to therapy. I would encourage every single person to go to therapy, despite whether you feel like you, I guess, need to or not. In my years of going to therapy, I wasn't necessarily depressed. You don't need to be depressed to go to therapy, but it is so good for us to, you know, talk to people and just get things off our chest, the big or the small, you know. And of course I know it can be very expensive, but even talking to a friend or journaling, you know, it can really help us. Don't underestimate the power of just getting something off your chest because it halves the problem. But yeah. Anyways, I hope that, you know, you guys enjoyed that. It can be a tough topic to talk about and to listen to. But I feel like it's one of those necessary conversations. It's necessary to learn about as well, I feel. But yeah, look after yourselves, please. And I love you. Bye-bye.